Time. Trending Countdown, where we take a look at some of those trending stories from the week, and it's all about Disneyland on this segment, where we're starting out with a story regarding the new Disney Vacation Club Tower that's coming to the Disneyland Hotel, and the first Vacation Club property to be on its way in a very long time, outside of the Grand Californian Hotel's sort of expansion many years ago. Now it looks like filing with the city is a permit and plans for this tower. We talked about it many months ago when the initial details were brought to light that something was happening, that there was an expansion site coming, and maybe they were going to create a DVC tower. Well, now there's some concept art that we just saw, and now we're taking a look at some of that proposed site, I guess, geographical location as to where this is going to end up. So right alongside, if you've ever been to Goofy's Kitchen at the Disneyland Hotel, there's that building, which is on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, in the top right, that is the Frontierland Tower. So this space is basically just a big grassy knoll area. There's a, I believe, like a laundry facility back in the corner, as well as like a fitness center. So kind of these one-off freestanding buildings, but easy to demolish and then to make way for this potential tower here. This tower is certainly something that is, I think, beautiful. Doesn't really match the rest of the resort, but I think that opens this up for that question. Do you guys think that the Disneyland Hotel is about to be, well, resuscitated all over again? I feel like every couple years we see this.
Yeah. I think they're going to complete this maybe. Well, I don't know actually. Now that I'm saying that out loud, they could decide they want to work on it all at the same time, but
I feel like they would just order everything together.
I guess so, but one thing about these new DVC rooms is that they're going to be very based on kind of like the way that the Riviera was kind of laid out, which is to say that they have like Murphy beds and kind of fold out couches and things like that. I was kind of hoping that they would redo all of the Disneyland Hotel kind of the way that they would do this building until I heard that. And then now I'm kind of like, oh, I hope that they don't bring that kind of Riviera style to the rest of to Disneyland Hotel. But I think the building itself looks really cool. Yeah. I think it looks really. I think the outside looks amazing. I think it's going to be great.
Stand out.
Yeah, it's going to stand out
big time.
I think it's going to be great to be able to stay in a room that, frankly, is worth the money because, like right now, Disneyland Hotel isn't necessarily worth the money to me.
It's bad. Like they need to replace the carpets. Like they need to replace the bathroom stuff. Like the wallpaper. They need to replace everything, but I don't want it to lose its charm. You know, like when you walk in the room, you see everybody loves the headboard. I mean, if they cannot get rid of that, and
well, I feel
so,
like
I feel like they keep it.
I don't. I feel like at this point they find something new that is going to be like a new type of goodnight kiss because I think that they're all old and a lot of I've seen people complaining about these headboards like falling apart. You know, the wood is getting all scratched apart and everything, and you can't just fix wood like that. So
I'm so sad.
You know, they're probably going to be torn out if they do this remodel, which they have to. They have to do a remodel on this place. But you're right. The question is like, are they all going to look the same? And I don't know. You know, they could have that designation of being like, no, this is for the DVC people. Like if you think about it over like at Wilderness Lodge in Disney World, there are like the Copper Creek area, and then there's also just like the Wilderness Lodge area. So there's kind of like a difference in aesthetic between those two things, you know.
But it's further away though.
Yeah, it's not like
so
they're not
like see it together.
Couple feet from each other.
Yeah, they're not staring each other in the face. That's definitely true. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. You know, I think we talked about it briefly in the past that like when they were planning this old hotel that was possibly going to be going over where, you know, Rainforest Cafe, ESPN Zone, AMC theaters.
Oh, that's right.
We were talking about the possibility that they were going to incorporate that new hotel to be Disneyland Hotel. That they were going to basically like redo the towers and everything like that to make it that new standard or to make it that new hotel. So yeah, now I'm wondering if this is the new way they're going to do that. This is the new way they're going to plus Disneyland Hotel is to start with this. I hope if this is the aesthetic, I love it. So I think it's very cool. It kind of gives me oh gosh, now I'm blanking on the name. The Cabana Bay Beach Resort in a way, but less.
Oh, interesting.
But less
Universal Resort.
Yeah, exactly. But less less colorful, less neon. You know, more kind of I don't know, your dad's den or something. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like it reminds me of like
Walt green carpet.
Yeah, it reminds me of like Walt Disney's kind of office or a place he'd like to hang out in a way.
Sure. Oh,
does that
interesting.
make sense?
Yeah.
You know?
No, yeah.
Something I would have never probably thought myself, but now that you bring it up, yeah, I can see.
Yeah,
it
has a very loungy vibe to it to me.
It's very
but,
warm and in sort of tone and color, and
Sure.
definitely so.
I'm excited.
scared to see how expensive it's going to be.
Yeah.
Because with the DVC and then with them, if they redo all of it, because they're going to have to like literally gut all of the rooms and then redo everything, it can't be more expensive. Are they just going to start hiking the prices up even more? Because like Grand Californian is already really expensive and like kind of too expensive. And then Disneyland is barely like $200 difference from that. So if they're going to like up the prices for Disneyland, they're going to have to up the price for Grand Californian. So now you're looking at Grand Californian being like over $1,000 a night. And then, you know, to make up the cost for the Disneyland Hotel. And I'm like,
It's a tough sell.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty expensive, but they are in desperate need because I can't like, I want them to get rid of the Mickey Mouse like hands in the bathroom. Like those are just.
They're getting bad.
They're just
getting
they're like dented. And,
yeah, they're
like,
dented and scratched
things are
up
cracked
and,
off. And I'm
yeah.
like, please just replace those.
Yeah.
Like that's just tacky. But like the wallpaper and stuff, like I think that's like, they need to keep it like whimsical because that's what the Disneyland Hotel is.
Yeah. It has to have a very fantasy feel to it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And when it got
keep the headboards, hashtag keep the headboards.
you love those headboards.
I love those headboards.
They are, I think, and they're so charming for the sake of children as well. You know, it's something that, I mean, definitely sort of lulls you to sleep. It's got the fiber optic lights, and it's a beautiful touch.
Because they have it at
sure.
Port
It is.
Orleans Riverside. They like the same kind of concept, and I feel like it's just like one of those whimsical things. It's like the simplest thing, and you just flip the switch, and then you just want to cry because you're like, oh, this is so beautiful.
It's like instant smile. It's a switch to get a smile out of you. It's
It
very
is.
good.
It's in the morning. I like barely wake up, and I'm like, and turn the switch on. It's
It'll
true.
bring me to life.
He hates it, but I do
No,
it
I
anyway.
don't. I know.
Oh, okay,
I don't
good.
have
He
a
likes
problem
it.
with
Okay. Well, the tower itself, I mean, if the rest of the resort does not get brought up to the same sort of level, you're absolutely right. It's staring everything else in the face.
It's
It's
like
going
the
to
next
be,
Paradise Pier.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hard thing to convince your other guests that are not staying there that, you know, hey, your rooms are worth it if they're looking at something really spectacular right across the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm curious too how many of those rooms they're going to let people just I know they say it's a DVC tower, but they let people stay like in Bay Lake and stuff like that are not DVC. So I wonder how many people, or I wonder how often those rooms are going to be let out, you know, for people that are not DVC. Because we're not DVC, even though we probably should be. But
yeah, and I know that like this is one tower, and from just pure concept art, it looked like there was no real backside to it in terms of windows that would be facing the other direction. It almost looks like it cuts off. So if you look at the image, I mean, it is very much like a box back, and then it sort of
I don't
wraps
want
around
to see the other
front.
side of Anaheim. They're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and close.
Peer into all of the neighborhoods of Anaheim. Yeah, you probably don't want too much of that, but it does kind of give off that vibe that maybe it won't necessarily have a whole wing of rooms on the back end.
Yeah.
So I could be completely wrong about that, but from the concept art, it certainly doesn't look that way.
what I'm really excited for too is, as I was looking at the concept art, I'm looking forward to balconies coming back to the Disneyland Hotel.
That'll be cool.
Because there used to, for those that don't know, they had balconies years ago, and when they redid the hotel, one of the many times they've redone it, they got rid of all the balconies, and I missed
still
them.
some on like
There's
the
if you
Frontier
stay in like a
Tower.
suite, like if you stay in a suite, there's a few rooms that have them, but we don't
Yeah,
ever
I
stay
mean those
in those
are
rooms.
expensive, and
Those are expensive rooms.
I mean, it's not worth it yet because
Expensive
it's not even,
AF,
like,
if you will.
Yes.
That's for sure. Well, looking forward to seeing that tower come along. It still has quite a few hurdles to jump with the city, and given the fact that the city is kind of what stood in the way of the big hotel coming,
City Anaheim.
who knows what could happen, but it's nice to see some concept art. I mean, we saw concept art the last time, and
That's
the brakes
true.
got
You're
put
right.
on
You're
us.
right.
So it's good to get excited, I suppose, but do not build this up in your mind as
I
something
know.
that will happen. You don't know for sure.
I guess I would be amazed if Disney did this again, though, where they released concept art and then again they got into a fight with Anaheim. It'd be like, really, guys? Like, what is going on over
It's
there?
a different administration now. I think it's a different relationship, different administration on both fronts, both at Disneyland and with the city of Anaheim. So I think perhaps This has been a reset relationship and has been turned into something a little bit better. And it's already a hotel property back there. It's already sort of zoned for a haunted house. So this shouldn't be as difficult, I think.
Yeah. And then they're having parking over there too for them. So that's like nice to like keep the parking for like the hotel guests on the other side.
Yeah, as it should be.
It's already hard to find parking over there as is. I'm not going to pay for
at the
valet.
entire resort. Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Pretty much. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. Yeah.
Well, very good. Moving right along here, did you see the video? SpiderMan Robotics are coming to California Adventure Park with the new Avengers Campus. The Disney Parks blog this past week released some video showcasing a robot that, if you watch the Imagineering story on Disney Plus, you kind of got a glimpse of this thing already. But this is essentially a audio animatronic robot that can fling in the air and do flips and swing around. We'll take a look at that footage here. And it is kind of captivating. I mean, obviously it's in slow motion, so you don't get a real idea as to, so what happens when it tries to land? So what happens when it tries to do everything else?
I think the secret is it lands on a net.
Oh.
I think you don't see it land.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think when they do swaps, I think they're going to do swaps between like live actors and robots.
I can see that happening.
So you're going to see Spider-Man fly in the air, he's going to fall somewhere, and then all of a sudden the actor's going to pop out from behind the wall and be like, look at what I just did.
As my robot fell through the ceiling of the building.
Exactly, yeah.
Did
And
show
into the
a video
ride.
of it going on like a trapeze kind of thing? Like that, what's it? Oh my gosh, my mind just
So
went
like in the Imagineering story, they
Yeah,
did
that
have
one.
that, they did have that footage of the robot basically being swung, flung off of a trapeze.
Shot out of a cannon.
Yeah, basically. I mean, really, it is almost like that. And then the really amazing part is just how realistic it like flings its body. I mean, I just think that that's the realism of it. That's the thing that really gets you is how it moves. Because sure, you could throw anything in the air, and you could throw a mannequin up in the air, but it wouldn't look like a human being because it wouldn't move. Anyway, I am excited for this. I hope that. This is something that happens on the regular, like many times a day. It seems like it's going to be really cool, and I hope it paves the way for more stuff at Galaxy's Edge as well.
Yeah.
So, but
technology,
even
you
though
bet.
they had this footage in the Imagineering story, they released footage of these Stuntronic things. Like I want to say like 2 years ago on YouTube. Like I remember this going around and then as soon as I heard Spider-Man attraction was coming, and if you look at I don't think we have a picture of it, but if you look at that concept art of the Avengers Campus, there's a giant like hook, just like a crane
on the front of the
hanging
building,
there.
right? Yeah.
And I mean, that's got to be what this is all for, and they built that just for this. So
slinging web over to the crane thing and twisting around.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
pretty much, yeah.
I think
That's
so too.
exciting.
Yeah. No,
It doesn't even look like a robot. You're kind of like, how did they create this robot to like fly up in the air and then like spin around and then land?
Yeah, it looks so flexible and
and then like obviously it's gonna be super expensive, so they're like putting this like really expensive piece of equipment flying through the air and then landing, and it's just like I don't know, it just blows my mind how forward they've come on trying to like at least get Disney. I don't know if this makes any sense. I'm really tired, but like because like with Disneyland they don't really like put a lot of interesting like new animatronics and stuff inside Disneyland, but like in all the overseas parks they have like all these cool animatronics, so now we finally get something that will blow our minds and that it's like never before seen in like the US parks.
And I
I'm
think
excited.
Sort of attaching onto that, I think one of my biggest concerns here is that I do not want this audio animatronic, because there's a lot of celebration around this thing, and there's a lot of fanfare going into this whole like, oh, look what it can do, this is so great. Okay, realistically, and even the video that we just showed, it lasts for 30 seconds, 45 seconds.
Don't blink, it'll be over.
And my biggest fear is that all of the resources have gone into this thing, and that the attraction that is coming, the Spider-Man attraction, is not going to be nearly as great as we think it's going to be, and it's going to be a disappointment and a letdown because all the focus and resources went into this thing. Now, I hope I'm off base completely.
Look at Smuggler's Run.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like that.
they're waiting for the the e-ticket ride, and so
Right.
everything else is opening, and then the e-ticket ride's going to take forever for it to open. So I already have like my expectations to be kind of like similar to like Smuggler's Run, kind of like, hey, it's great to like to see and stuff and like try it, but then you want that e-ticket ride.
Absolutely.
So I think that's kind of be on the same level, sadly. I don't know. People don't hate me. I'm like waiting for people to throw pies at me. I'm like, oh no.
Tomatoes.
Well, it's funny. I think we were talking about it when we were at Disneyland last weekend too, that like they are not. This is kind of the first time I feel like even where they've kind of come out and say, "Hey, look at this cool thing we're doing."
Yeah.
Because like before Star Wars opened, they were telling us on a regular basis, like, here's what you can look forward to. Like, get ready for the most extreme. You're going to be transported to another world. It's going to be amazing. And they haven't done that at all with Avengers.
Yeah.
And so I think they're trying to curb our expectations because they know that this is not going to be. It's going to be a cool thing to do during your day at California Adventure. But it's not. This isn't going to be the thing you're going to show up to the park for at all. So, yeah, everybody should have their expectations in line with that.
Manage those expectations. You bet. Some big news coming out of Disneyland this week is, well, the Star Wars Nite coming to Disneyland After Dark, the series of special ticketed events that are going on this year. And I know that they just had 80s Night here recently, and that was a pretty big hit on social media, as all these parties after dark seem to be. The Disneyland After Dark Star Wars Nite is going to be on August 27th, and it looks like this exclusive after-hours access to Disneyland Park will begin admitting people at about 6 p.m. Special entertainment includes special Star Wars-themed fireworks spectaculars, galactic dance parties, character encounters, and more. You'll get your enhanced decor, your immersive Star Wars-themed photo opportunities, and unlimited digital downloads of Disney PhotoPass photos taken during the party. This is sort of coinciding with a Star Wars convention that is happening in Anaheim at the same weekend time period. So I think that there's a bit of strategic planning going on here to try and lure those folks away. I gotta say, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I'm not a guy that's like watched all the films and loves every single one of them. I've never been that guy. I've watched the films. They're great. Don't know that I go gaga over them. And I certainly don't think that I would have any interest in going to a Star Wars night for Disneyland After Dark. Maybe another theme night that they have going on throughout the year, but probably not this one.
Well, the bummer is that this is the second time they've done a Star Wars Night.
Right.
They did I think it was their second event, their second Disneyland After Dark that they ever did was Star Wars Night, I think. And I remember it being kind of whatever. I remember it being kind of like not as cool as what was the first one was a 50s night, right?
Yeah, it was like
Or
the 50s. No, it was the 50s.
50s, yeah. Anyway, that one was a
was
lot
cool.
of fun.
Yeah.
I don't know why
More universal theme.
It just felt more fun for
It
some
was
reason.
quaint
I don't know
because they
why.
had all these like cool thing, like cool 50s kind of vibe, and then they had like the fireworks that were kind of like what Disneyland used to be, and like really cool photo ops and stuff. And then you went to the Star Wars Night one.
Yeah,
I didn't go,
I did.
but then you came back and you were kind of like, it wasn't as good as the 50s night.
No, it felt crowded. And they've had, even like in the 80s night, for example, they just had, we were talking about the photo ops and stuff. They just had the Wampa scene from Empire Strikes Back, but they've used that they keep using it over and over again now. So I'm starting to be like, okay, these parties were cool when you were seeing things unique and new for the first time. Now they're starting to reuse these things all the time. And especially if, I hate to say it, but especially if they think a bunch of new people are going to be in town for Star Wars, for the Star Wars convention, they're not going to really focus too much on doing new things. So I don't know, man. If you're a Star Wars fan, have fun. To me, I will say, actually, just to bring it back 1 second. There was no Galaxy's Edge open when I had the Star Wars Night before. So there could be some really cool stuff happening in Galaxy's Edge.
But Rise is not going to be open, right?
Well, we'll see. I can't imagine them not having that. I mean, your marquee attraction after all this time, not having that open for your Star Wars night, that's insane.
I know.
Yeah.
You can't not do that.
Yeah.
Like they should have like that drone scene or something. Some kind of like cool speeders are going by, pew pew, to kind of make some
Get your
kind of
X-wings up in the air.
Yeah, like it'd be like some
flying
kind
over
of
Get
the
those
land.
X-Wings, yeah.
It'd be really cool.
I saw for that 80s night, too, that they had R2-D2 and C-3PO meeting in
I saw
Galaxy's
that.
Edge.
Yeah.
So they'll do that again,
I mean, they'll
obviously.
do that again, and I just hope that... I don't know. I hope that they don't. I don't know. I hope that they don't. 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 I hope that I just hope they come up with new stuff for these things. If they're going to redo events, I hope that they keep on coming up with new things because
make it worth it.
Even the last couple of these we went to, it was just like if you're not into taking pictures and waiting in those lines, then maybe go on a different day. Even when you can't, because Max Pass actually would be more helpful than because these lines were not short. You know? So
yeah, for the pictures, I mean, I like taking pictures and stuff, but I'm not a person to wait over 2 hours while you're paying for a private event to get a picture, and then they want to push you by so fast that you don't even know if that picture turned out good. And it's at night too, so you're like kind of giving your trust to like the photographers to actually do it correctly. Yeah. So and I've seen like a lot of people on Instagram being like, what's that character Chopin? Or whatever with the Clopin, yeah, from I don't know.
Chopin and Clopin.
I don't know. Chopin, Clopin, I don't know. You know, and his mask was moved.
Oh.
And so you could see this like weird thing. And so this person waited like 2 hours in line and then their pictures turned out bad. So I felt like, oh man. So, I mean, but if you like it, and then there's a lot less kids that go to these events.
Right.
But I think the Sweetheart one was really sweet, like for Valentine's Day. I love that one. But again, you're waiting for pictures and
parties built around photo ops mostly.
Yeah, and food.
Yeah,
food and pictures. So you know, if you want to, like what Tyler said, I would do the Max Pass and go on a normal day, maybe on a weekday, where it's like less busy.
Food for thought. Great perspective. That's the Disneyland news for this week. Stick around.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.